Hello, I'm John Graham. I'm writer-director on Arby and the Chief, and you're listening to the director's commentary for Season 5, Episode 1, House of Cards. This is about my 30th time recording the fucking thing, because I keep mispronouncing words and starting sentences and not finishing them because I lose my train of thought easily. But hopefully this will be the one that goes in. Please let it be. This episode starts off with a snippet from an earlier episode from Season 3 called Wedding, in which Master Chief and the Arbiter crash a video game wedding, which is what Season 5 is all about. The idea of these characters in particular crashing a video game wedding feels very appropriate to them. And I figured, when I was coming up with a story outline for Season 5, I figured, you know, I could probably base an entire season of episodes around this idea, and that's what I ended up doing. This commentary is airing in place of what should have been Cheaters, followed by Collapse, the last two episodes of Season 5, but I've chosen to delay them a week so I could have a little breathing room to polish them up a bit. Fuck, man, this is what I'm talking about. I'm not a speaker, I'm very much a writer. I mean, that's why I chose to become a writer, so I wouldn't have to fucking talk to anybody. Man. Okay, commentary, come on. I'm no good at this, but I told people I'd try and make this commentary interesting and insightful to make up for the fact that I am pushing back these last two episodes. The last couple episodes I made, as per usual with writing a season, I end up leaving a lot of loose ends which need to be tied up, and that results in a lot of double-length episodes such as Stagnite and Collapse. What the fuck am I talking about? Not Collapse. Stagnite and Double Trouble. The script for Stagnite was 25 pages long. That's about a fifth of the length of a feature-length screenplay. And, you know, writing all that out on top of producing it and cutting it within the span of a week, you know, I was exhausted, so I needed a little extra time, and, anyway, to make this commentary interesting, I thought I'd share some things I've learned about writing for anyone that's interested. I've never written a feature-length screenplay, but collectively with all the scripts I've written for these Halo shorts I've been doing for, you know, for years and years now, I've written thousands and thousands of pages, and you don't write that much without learning a thing or two along the way, so... The biggest tip I could give anybody is to keep at it. I mean, because that's all anything boils down to is trial and error, whether it's screenwriting or just, you know, anything else. I mean, you're a kid, you horse around too much, you nail your head off something, you start bleeding, you cry, you know, and then you go, okay, that was stupid, I'm not going to do that again. Excuse me. You know, the same applies to everything. You start off with nothing, and you've got to make the conscious decision to, you know, be awesome and just keep at it until you are awesome, you know. And I'm not saying I'm awesome here. I mean, I've still got a lot to learn, I think, but if you watch my stuff from start to finish, I'm not saying do it, because most of my old stuff is shit, but I'm saying, like, if you did happen to watch my stuff from start to finish, you would notice a very there's a very noticeable progression in quality, not only in writing but camera work. And the key to that is to just keep at it. You know, I mean, if you write your first screenplay and you read it or watch it play out or whatever, and you realize, you know, you go, oh, this is shit, I'm never going to do this again. That's the worst mistake you can make, because, you know, you've got to you have to make mistakes. That's part of the process. You have to fuck up so you know not to do it again. And yeah, so that's the first tip. Just keep at it. But you have to have the passion to stick with it for sure. That's a necessity. If you don't have the passion for it, then don't bother, I guess. Find something you are passionate about. Another tip with writing would be to always write with your ending in mind. You don't have to know exactly how your story is going to end, but you should have at least a rough idea of where it's going. At the very least, I mean, if you start writing your story without knowing where it's going, that's how you run into dead ends, and you don't want that, because that sucks. That's really been the saving grace of this 5th season, I think, is because I knew exactly how it was going to end before I even started producing the first episode. Like, I knew how episode 13 was going to go down. Roughly. A few things have been changed, but not that much. I knew basically what was going to happen by the end. But looking back on it, there's actually a fundamental flaw with this, because with this big cliffhanger at the beginning of this episode overshadowing the entire season, we find out that Arbiter and Chief are going to crash this wedding, so it doesn't leave enough questions, I think. The question of the season isn't, will Arbiter choose to crash this wedding, which I think is really the most important question. It is whether he will succeed or not, because we already know he's going to do it. So it kind of gives away certain plot elements. And but on the other hand, without having this massive cliffhanger at the beginning, I don't think it would have been nearly as exciting. So you've got to choose, what works best for your story. And sometimes, siding with one choice means actually throwing some legitimate logic out the window, but you've just got to go with what works anyway. Anyway, moving on. I've never had much of a social life, but whatever debris that remained of it, I've pretty much thrown away to work on this season. It's all I do. It's how I spend all my days. I just crawl out of bed, write all day, edit all day, or whatever. I'll dedicate certain days to writing and then certain days to editing. And then I'll crawl back into bed, rinse, repeat. So, but I do try and put aside time to watch movies and TV shows, and to take in other stuff. Currently, I'm rewatching all the episodes of Hey Arnold. Love that show, and I do try and make time to go to the theater every now and then, despite how expensive it is. But I try and make the effort. I try not to just watch them either. When I'm watching movies or TV shows or whatever, I'm always studying them and asking myself, why do they work? Why are they so effective? And it's sort of like job research in a way. That's how I look at it. That's how I justify it anyway. But yeah, I think it's important to catch up on, what other people are doing with the same medium. And, you can have terrible writer's block, and then you can just go see a movie and then have sudden inspiration, and then maybe that writer's block will even be lifted. So it's important to set aside some time to do that. I try and avoid going to the theater on opening nights, however. I've learned my lesson from that recently. I recently went to watch Insidious in theaters, and I'm a huge fan of horror movies. I don't think there's nearly enough good horror movies out there. And I saw the commercial for Insidious, and I read some reviews on it, and I was like, wow, a semi-decent horror movie. I've never seen one, as of late, so I'd better go see this. And I went to it on opening night, and the theater was packed. The only free seats were 3 free seats at the end of one of the super close rows that no one wants to sit in, but you know, it's packed, so you don't have a choice. I didn't have a choice, so I went there, and when it's packed like that, you don't want to leave seats between you and other people. Normally you do if it's a little less packed, but if it's opening night and it's packed, you don't want to do that. You know, just so everyone else can have a seat, right? But I went to this close row that had 3 free seats at the end of it, and I went in, but I sat a seat away from this teenage girl to avoid creeping her out, right? So I did that, and then a couple minutes later, this group of guys came along, and they were sort of, you know, moving around awkwardly, standing there, talking with each other, looking for free seats. There weren't any, except the one that was beside me and the one that was on the other side of me that I left to give me and the chick a buffer zone. And they were sort of looking at me funny. They were like, shortly I just went, "Oh, do you want me to move down one?" And they were like, "Yeah, if you could." And I did. It was fine. But after that, I mean, upon doing that, I expected the courtesy of them shutting the fuck up, but they didn't. They talked through the entire fucking movie. Through the opening credits, you know, someone's name would come up, and then one of them would point and laugh and go, "Oh man, I know that guy." No, I'm just kidding. And then all his friends would laugh. I mean, fair enough, it's the opening credits, who gives a shit? But after that, they were talking throughout the whole movie. I remember at one point, you know, anytime the scene went dark, or you knew it was going to be a scary part, they would go, "Oh my god, this is so scary." You know, what's completely sucks you out of the experience, you know, hearing that right beside you. And I remember at one point, the main guy in the movie, you know, he sees there's some weird shit going on. He grabs a weapon to defend himself. He grabs like a pitchfork out of this thing. And the guy next to me goes, "Oh, I wouldn't have picked that weapon. I would have picked something better. M4 and shit." M4 and shit. He's gonna take out the ghosts on screen with a fucking M4, and he feels the need to, you know, to let everyone know around him that he would do this. And there was another part where this old lady, a little bizarre at the time, puts on a gas mask, but later you find out it was this like seance type thing, and the lady's putting this gas mask on to funnel her whispers into a set of headphones this other guy was wearing. And the lady put on the gas mask, and the guy next to me went, "What is this, Fallout New Vegas?" And all his friends laughed again. And he could just say Fallout to get his point across. That would have done it. But he had to say the full name of the sequel, Fallout New Vegas, to demonstrate his fucking video game knowledge to everyone around him, as if everyone gives a shit. It was just a terrible experience. On top of that, there was all these rustling candy wrappers and, you know, the overpowering stench of nacho cheese. And I you know, asked myself, why the fuck did I come to this? Why didn't I just wait until... I would have enjoyed the movie a lot more if I just waited for maybe the next week when it wasn't so packed. I could just, you know, enjoy the movie a lot more. It really spoiled it for me. And not only that, but, you know, the movie ended, and on the way out, you know, it was so packed and dense. You know, we were all back to back, shuffling out, trying to get out of the theater. And then on the way to the exit, there's all these people handing out flyers for the companies they're representing, handing out. This chick handed me some free cologne samples, and you just feel like a fucking sheep being herded out of the building. And, you know, I hate going to the theater now. I almost hate it. I mean, you know, if I didn't love movies so much, I just wouldn't go. But the whole movie-going experience really sucks ass right now. It pisses me off. So I try and watch a lot of movies at home, or on like discount nights or whatever. But on that particular night, I was feeling shitty, and I was looking for a horror movie to lift my spirits, believe it or not. But anyway, I'm sorry. I hope you enjoyed this commentary, and I'm sorry I didn't get to touch on too many things, but hope you enjoyed it, and thanks a lot for listening.